Welcome to It's All About Connection, NVC with Dr. B.
Don't you like the bobbleheads?
Just bobbling. So, in this episode, we're talking about Cindy's book, My Link to Mildred. And there it is in the video version of this. You can see it. And I guess you're going to ask me questions about it, about your book.
In the last podcast episode we did, I thought this could be a good thing because some of you guys listening know, because I think we've mentioned, Heather and I have this very funny thing that we start books, but we don't finish them.
We'll start a million books.
And then she's, she does this thing where she tells me about this great book that she's reading that I should read.
You do it as well, and then we do it to other people because we're so excited about the book.
And then we're like, did you ever finish the book? Nope, never finished the book.
I got what I needed to out of it.
So anyways, last week she texted me that she finished my book, and I thought, wow, I know that that's a big deal because I know that you don't really usually finish books. Okay, so why did you finish my book? Did you finish my book because you had thoughts? Notice I didn't say feeling. Thoughts of being obligated to finish my book? Or was it like, oh, I'm really into this book?
I would say both.
Yeah?
I didn't want to talk to you about it if I hadn't finished it. I mean, not that I think it would have been fine if I had been like halfway through, but yeah, I think because we are so close, I was like, I want to read this labor of love and honor that.
So when you read it, was it like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over? Or was it like,
no,
I really like this?
I did really like it, yeah. And it seemed like it was just your voice. So it seemed like you were just talking.
We talk about this a lot. We talk about like, we only like books that suck you in. Like, I hate books that you have to like read, 10 pages and you're still like, I don't know. I never read a book like that, ever. It has to suck me in from like the first paragraph. That's it. If I'm not sucked in by the first paragraph, done. Not reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. You just got to get pulled in right away. And I think your voice did that for me. So,
well, probably, I think the first line of the book is, my mother died. So I think that that's probably a really good, like a great, like alluring sentence for people.
Yeah, that'll get you involved, I think, pretty quickly.
Oh, let me look. What is it? Yeah. My mother died last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would catch my attention. I didn't do it to catch people's attention. I didn't write that one line to catch people's attention. It literally just came out of me.
It does make you curious, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what else I really liked about that? It was true. It was just so fucking weird when I wrote, my mother died last week, just 5 days ago to be exact, in the room right next to me, my TV room, where things are still around. The soap in my bathroom is soap that washed her face and hands. Like, I really like that. It's
very
so
raw
true.
and
It's so real. It was like,
yeah.
fuck, like, I just couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe my mother is dead. I can't believe it.
I think you get the sense of that disbelief, like right up top.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's weird because I'm 58 years old, and yeah, I've had people die in my life, but like this was my really first very significant death. I don't know how you get to be 58 years old and not really have like an intimate experience with death, but how it was for me. Anyways, the book, for those of you that haven't read it, is basically about, it's called My Link to Mildred because Mildred was my mother's grandmother, so my great grandmother. And it's about our passed down family trauma and how it came out between my mother and myself, and my work with NVC, and how we had so much healing and so many real, authentic, connecting, and difficult conversations, especially in the last like year of her life that I didn't even know she was gonna die, you know? Um, yeah, and how and what NVC is and what trauma is. It's all kind of in the book. Um, yeah. What'd you like about it? Now that I'm bringing you back to it.
Bringing me back. I liked your writing style. Again, I keep saying your voice. And I liked just how everything was, it was all so connected. Everything was just like woven together and set up really, I don't know, fluidly in terms of the storytelling.
Oh,
So, kind of the formatting and the structure of the narrative.
yeah, I really appreciate hearing that because it wasn't. I think like I didn't spend a lot of time thinking this through. I mean, my mother asked me to write this book, and when she passed, I just started waking up in the morning and writing. It just came out of me. I didn't think about, oh, I need to put this here and I got to, as I was writing it, and this is something that many people have told me that they really appreciate the mixture of personal narrative along with like research on the brain and trauma and NVC and like how I have personal narrative through it. I, when I was writing like all the personal narrative stuff, I was worried. I was like, who's going to want to read about this? Like, it's all just my own, like, what's in my head, me, like, or like, who wants the whole last chapter is about my mom's last month alive and what it was like to go on that journey with her and the healing that happened. And I was like, who's going to want to read that? Nobody's going to care about my mom's last month on Earth. So to hear you say like it made sense the way it was laid out is, I feel very happy hearing that that's how it was for you.
Yeah, and the intimacy of it all, of your story was really connecting. And
Mm,
I found relatability in it. And yeah, something about the authenticity and vulnerability was really
mm.
just like the openness was so connecting. So maybe, yeah, the
No, I'm
thoughts you
happy.
had around who would want to read this, it's, yeah, because it's so personal, because you're just like cracking yourself open for us to see. Yeah, it was just so real,
Hmm.
whatever that means.
Yeah, well, I'm happy again for that too because it was scary. The thought of being that honest about my own insecurities, and just serving it out there for the world to know it was a little scary. I'm not gonna lie. So, but you know what? I have found over and over again in my life that whenever I'm really real and authentic, that's like people really do appreciate that. It's so weird how we have it beat out of us not to be that way with one another, and yet it's a thing people really like when they see it.
People are
They love.
drawn to it and it gives them permission, and like it just really resonates with people, I think.
Right. To be that, oh, I can be that honest too. I could be that real too. It's all right. It's all right if you have some crazy shit going on in your head. You know?
I there was a part in the book that cracked me up because we sometimes poke fun at you around your ego. And it
Mhm.
was the part where you were talking about camp and you were like the torch light and you were like, I can't emphasize this. The people loved me. And I was like, okay, the origins.
I felt really worried about putting that in there, by the way. I really did. I was like, oh man, I don't know. My camp people, I don't know if they're gonna, like, I felt embarrassed putting that in there. I really did.
Hmm.
So, that was another one. Like, should I put that in there? Should I put that picture of me getting getting being torchbearer? Like, should I put that in there? It felt really vulnerable and scary and funny, especially because you guys do crack up about my ego. I'm like, it because I really wasn't doing it because of that. I know
Yeah.
that's hard to believe, but I really wasn't. But it was like, all right, some people might actually think I am doing this because of that.
I
Uh,
think the people that know you know that that's, yeah, not, I think, true. It's just playfulness, but, there's a
oh, there's a
truth to
part
it.
for sure. There is a part to. I mean, come on, I'm a human being. I don't know anybody out there that doesn't have an I think my can be pretty big for sure.
Yeah.
That's all a judgment. I mean, I don't think we can
Yeah.
get down. Let's
I
not
meant
get
like
into.
I meant like a truth to like your lovability and like why you were chosen to do that thing. So it's like, yeah, there's a
Uh,
playfulness and like maybe you thinking that and thinking that we're gonna see that, but it's like, yeah, it just kind of, I don't know, speaks
Well,
for
yeah, and
itself.
I mean, my point in even putting it in there was like just, and I think if people read the book, they'll see, I was just trying to make like just show the contrast of what was going on in my life at that time, where like in one part of my life, the main part of my life, where I was in high school down in Florida, like I knew nobody, like zero, no, and I had not one friend, not honestly. Like, I don't know too many people that have not one friend in high school and want it that way. Don't talk to one person for a whole year in high school. Like, so I was had that going on for me while here I was during the summer. I go to camp and I'm like bestowed like the biggest honor you could possibly. Just the contrast of the two things and how I actually think like being in camp and having that anchor and connection and so many needs met there really was a saving grace for me. Truly, it was. Um,
Yeah, it
in
seemed like
fact, I
that
had
needed to be included to reiterate that contrast
well,
of
and for
how it was
people
for
to
you.
understand like how trauma impacts you. And, I had a therapist years ago ask me, why are you not as like with all the stuff that happened, you should be even more fucked up than you are. That's kind of what she was insinuating. She was like, "Why are you not so fucked up?" And I had to think about it, and I think a lot of it had to do with my camp and the love and the connection and the support that I had there during a very critical time was really, really very important.
Yeah, you
Um,
had kind of an anchor.
yeah. The other thing that I would love to just make mention of before we end for today is just the poetry in the back. I don't know if you read it. I usually when people are telling me that they read the book, I point them to the appendix. I'm like, please don't skip that. It's in the
I
appendix,
did
but to me,
forget, honestly, I did forget about the appendix. Because it's
oh
like, yeah, it
shit,
ends, and then I don't know. So I
you need
didn't
to go back.
quite finish the book.
You need to go back and read the appendix. I think I have sent
It's
you
by my
several of
bed,
these.
so I'm ready.
I I think I've sent you several of these poems over the years, but
Hmm.
please go back and read the appendix because to me, it's the most important part of the book. When I was working at Community Connections with the kids, mostly young black men, boys, between the ages of 13 and 17, we used to have these, everything was done in circle and we were teaching NVC. And it used to hurt my heart so bad because I was like, I wish every person I knew could sit in circle with these kids and know them in the way that I know them and feel their pain and get a sense of their brilliance and their life. And I just wanted, because my thinking was if enough middle class white folks would sit in those circles, they're they would be drawn to like just an outpouring, and there'd be so much connection. I'm sure of it because I believe in goodness of human beings like that. It used to frustrate me so much. Like, how do I get a lot of people to sit in circle with me and these kids? So putting all those poems in the back, which by the way, they were poems like they were never meant for an audience. I used to write them when I would wake up in the morning on my phone. I would just type them out because I was hurting so bad. But knowing when you give empathy and you're listening to people deeply, these kids deeply, or they're listening to me deeply, you have a level of connection and knowing of them that you never get typically with anybody. So to be like so behind the scenes with them, and my heart was just so full in the good ways and in the painful ways for them. So I would write these. That's what's in the back. It's like, oh, it's my way of letting the whole rest of the world sit in circle with me and these kids. So so people really know like the rawness of what is going on and the level and the extent of the trauma. Because it was every single kid I ever sat with. Every single kid. It wasn't just like a subset. So I really want people to have that experience. It will be
Yeah, just
painful.
getting that understanding because it is like that's a big part of. I mean, even though it's the appendix, it's just as important in the book. Like it gives it even more context.
Exactly. It gives people a raw experience of trauma, which is what I want. As much as it's painful for people, I want people to have that experience. And one last thing I'll say about the book. I've had many people tell me that they cried. Did you cry when you read my book? It's okay if you didn't cry.
I
I'm
don't
all
think I
right with that.
cried. I was moved.
But
I was moved.
I have
Yeah.
had several people like randomly tell me that they cried reading my book, which I take as a good sign, that people are moved enough or touched by something
It
that
stirred
they,
something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I had one person tell me like, I've never had a book like this that just stayed with me. I couldn't get it.
Mm.
It stayed with me. That was such a great thing to hear. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I wrote a book. I don't fully know how it's impacting the world. I hope it is. I really hope it is. If you've read it, it'd be great if you put up an Amazon review, which, by the way, Heather, I need you to still do that for me. I need you
Oh,
to write
yeah.
an Amazon review.
I'll
Everyone
take my
tells people
text and just copy and
seriously, you
paste.
should. Everyone tells me this is the way a book gets traction is when people read it, they write the review. So those of
Yeah.
you that have read it, please write a review on Amazon. It could really help me a whole lot, and help the world, hopefully a whole lot. And if you haven't read it, go get it. That's another thing.
Get it on Amazon. Is there anywhere else?
My link to Mildred. I think you can get it on Goodreads. You can get it on Barnes and Noble. Amazon, I think, is the main place, though people are getting it.
Is there an
All right.
audiobook of it yet?
No, people have asked me, but I dumped so much money into just producing the book, and it costs more money to put out an audio version of it, so I haven't done that. Maybe one day I'll get the opportunity to do that. All right,
Cool.
folks, thank you for listening all about this. It's a very exciting topic for me. I hope that you do read it and that you enjoy it and you let me know about your experience with it. And yeah, you can call us at 850 706
706.
0488 0488. And I think that's all we want to say for now. And we're going to put this music on now that Heather loves so much.
Ugh.
Oh, no.
Welcome.
Wrong one. It's a closing one. We're going to get it right. We're going to do something with this.
You've been listening
Working
to
out the
It's All
kinks.
About Connection. NVC with Dr. B. For more episodes and guest bios, please visit us at
Hey, we're going to have a producer
thebigbmethod.com.
do with this
That's
stuff. I like the whistle. And do the whistle.
Here, yeah.
THEBIGMETHOD.com. And remember, empathy first.
I like doing that too at the end.
You love that whistle.